Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got the tank review for the brand new Era 3 Western Alliance light tank, the Alvis Stormer 30. Now this is a tank that's just come out for 13,000 gold. Is it a pretty good tank? Yeah. If you like light tank gameplay in Era 3, it can be pretty damn enjoyable. It's got two very nice ATGMs that you get to fire in a clip. You've got the Bushmaster, which is the same as on the Bradley, which is only really very good, it's only really good at close range, and even then it can be the most unhelpful gun in the universe. But it's a pretty damn mobile tank with some nice ATGMs that you can slap in, and yeah, you can have a pretty fun time with it. It's basically a better version of the Bradley in a premium tank. For 13,000 gold, is it worth it? Well, 13,000 gold is a lot of gold, and once again, I'll say, or as always, wait for discounts, because 13,000 gold is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But if you enjoy light tank gameplay in Era 3, like stuff like the Bradley, you will probably enjoy the Alvis Stormer, because like I say, it is basically a better version of it, because it's absolutely rapid, it's got decent camo, not the best, but decent, and the ATGMs are really hurt. They just hurt when they slap in, and you can have a decent amount of fun with it. It does have the same problem as the Bradley, though, where it is a fairly large target, and the moment you get spotted, if people RBRT you, they will hit you most of the time if you are just trying to launch your ATGMs and you're sort of stationary at that point of launching the ATGMs. They will just hit you every single time with the RBRTs. And even so, even though you go fast at 88 kilometers an hour, a lot of the time, if you're spotted, people will still manage to hit you no problem whatsoever either, because you are a very big target. But it can be a fun tank, like I say, just because the ATGMs are nice and the mobility is nice, you can have some pretty decent times with it. So without further ado, let's get into the statistics of the Alvis Stormer 30. So you've got a 250 horsepower engine with an 80 km/h top speed and reverse speed, which is glorious. You'll want to make use of that where you can, and it's very nice for if you pull into a situation forward going at your full speed, you can just then be like, okay, I'm going now, and then reverse out really quickly, which is definitely nice. It catches a lot of people off guard, and it's a very useful asset. You have a 19 horsepower engine, 19 horsepower per ton ratio, sorry, which is nice, but the tank feels a little bit sluggish at times, and it does struggle a little bit to get to that top speed. So if you end up being chased by an MBT and they knock your momentum, at that point, you're pretty screwed. You're just going to have to try and wiggle, dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge if you can, because they knock your momentum. You're going to struggle to keep getting back up to the 88 kilometers an hour if you run the traction system like I would. And yeah, they basically can keep up with you very easily. This is, if you get too close and an MBT decides you're going to die, the MBT will kill you very easily. As long as they can avoid your ATGMs, it's going to be a bad time for you. So yeah, 19 horsepower per ton ratio is makes it so it's just a little bit sluggish off the mark. You might want to help that with a powertrain instead of a traction system, just to get better engine power or fuel or something like that, but it's down to you. I personally wouldn't, no I don't, but you just note that off the mark running, you'll probably hit 60 fairly easily, but once you're starting to go beyond that, it's starting to feel just a little bit sluggish to get there. You have a 10% fire chance, which is one of the lowest ones it can be, which is quite nice. It means you don't set on fire too often. You got 3,000 hit points, which is a great slab of hit points to use for a light tank in Era 3. It means that you can take a fair few hits before it gets critical while you're dishing out those 1,300 damage ATGMs. You got 50 degrees a second hull rotation speed, which is pretty damn nice. It means that tank turns very nicely. You might want to help that again with clutch braking and traction system, just to make the mobility of the tank feel even better, and make it so that you can dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge very well, as much as you possibly can, to try and avoid the shots. You got a 1.1 soft terrain with a 0.45 medium terrain and a 0.4 on firm. So the terrain resistances are fine. They're absolutely perfect. They do not hold the tank back whatsoever, which is why it's the engine that does make you feel a little bit sluggish as a light tank. So yeah, you don't need to help that whatsoever. You got 284 meters of steel concealment, which is pretty decent, and you can get that down to about 175 meters of steel concealment, I think it is. You'll see later. And that can be pretty useful for staying unspotted and getting that sort of sneak attack off with the ATGMs. But even in Era 3, that 175 meters of steel concealment and on the move concealment, because you're a light tank and you have the same as both, can let you down a fair bit, and a lot of the MBTs will spot you at a decent distance anyway, because they have such high view ranges. You've got 550 meters view range, which is nice for a light tank, and if you buff that with situational awareness, you'll get a decent amount so that you can go spotting and get some good assistance out as you are a light tank, or be able to give the precious information off to your team of where the enemy teams are going. You've got a 50 degrees a second turret rotation speed, which is the same as the tracks, which means that the turret does just about keep up with the hull, but if you do make it better in terms of clutch, braking and traction system, the turret rotation won't keep up, so you might want to run rapid aim. It's down to you. You've got a 0.68 accuracy during rotation, which is actually not that bad. That's actually really quite good, which means you generally don't need snapshot that much to help the gun, because the during rotation accuracy is actually pretty good. You got 30 degrees of elevation, which is amazing. It basically can just look up into the sky, so you don't really have to worry too much when you're on a ridgeline about looking up at tanks. You've got a max depression of 10, which I actually think is better on the ATGM launchers, kind of like the Bradley is in a way, where, you know, the main cannon only depresses 10 degrees, but the ATGM launchers can actually look further down. So that's something to bear in mind. You've got a 35.2 second reload, which you get down to about 30 seconds, I believe, or 28 seconds, something like that, on the Bushmaster, on the 30mm cannon, main cannon. You got 0.34 accuracy with a horrific 4.08 accuracy during movements. That's something you want to try and help with run and gun. You could also run vertical stabilizers to make that better if you wanted to, but I don't, because most of the time you are really close in if you are using this gun, so that sort of accuracy doesn't matter too much. It's just the shells do fly absolutely all over the place, but you're firing a lot of them, so you know there is that. You've got 1.8 second aim time, which is really nice. It helps you to get aimed in, but once again, like I say, most of the time you're not spending time aiming with this gun, you are just firing the gun and running away or running in, right? So the aim time is nice, but is it that, yeah, you know, you're not really using it that much. You've got 223 penetration on the AP, which is only really good in Era 3 for getting around the sides and the rears of all the tanks generally. And yeah, the thing I've experienced with this is the same as the Bradley, same as it probably is for a BMP as well. The moment you start shooting people in the ass or the side with a gun like this, they turn around. And a lot of them turn on a sixpence very, very quickly, which means that you can't keep to the side and rear where this gun is any sort of effective that easily at all, really. Which means that as soon as an MBT decides that you're dead, you're dead. That's the same with any of the light tanks, really, in this era, that you're just going to die. Unless you're something like a Weasel, where you're absolutely tiny, very hard to hit, and basically can't be spotted unless you're proxied. Tanks like this tend to basically die the moment an MBT looks at them and says, you're dead, mate, you're going to die. So that's a sad thing for the Alva Storm, and it's the same as it is on a Bradley or a BMP. They're big targets, so all the MBTs can basically, as soon as they spot you, which they will, RBRT you very, very easily, and you will get hit most of the time. So it's just something to bear in mind. You've got 1,385 meters a second velocity on the ammo, which is quite nice and means that you don't really have to lead too much, but once again, you are also going to be very up close and personal to use that main cannon, so the shell velocity isn't as important. You do have a 155% silver bonus, which means that you make a lot of credits with this tank, and I have noticed that you do make a lot of credits, which is very, very nice. You've got a reload time of 24.5 seconds, which you get down to about 18 seconds, I believe, and that again is pretty damn nice for the tank. You've got 0.26 accuracy on the ATGMs. I'm not sure why they have an accuracy during movement, because it's all on you and your aim, really, for the ATGMs. So, yeah, that doesn't really matter in terms of the stats. Neither does the aim time, because you don't aim at all in terms of having an aiming circle. You've got 2 shots in the ATGM launcher, though, so that's something to bear in mind. You've got 12 seconds intra-clip, which is a little bit long, but at the same time, it's not too long to dish out those 1,300 damage ATGMs, right? So sometimes it does feel like once you fire the first one, you're like, come on, come on, come on, you know, and then you fire the second one. But you're dishing out a lot of damage in 12 seconds, so there is that. You do carry 14, though. I kind of wish it carried a little bit more, but it is what it is. And yeah, you've got 800 pen on the standard ATGM and 1,000 on the premium ATGM, which means that generally the premium ATGM is just flat out better, and most people will probably fire full prem ATGMs because they are just flat out better than the standard ATGMs. I don't know why they do it, and why I don't know why they just didn't bother just giving it one ATGM, and that's it, because the premium ATGM just completely invalidates the standard one. There is no point unless you want to make credits, or should I say, you want to maximize your credit profits that way, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's kind of sad. You do have 329 meters a second shell velocity on the ATGMs, which is pretty quick for an ATGM, actually. It's not the slowest in the universe, so that's quite nice. But yeah, that's the ATGMs on the Elvis Stormer. So in terms of a crew and equipment, in terms of a crew on the Elvis Stormer, I have slid it into the TCM AGS. Let's go have a looky, Lou. So we run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Run and Gun, Camouflage Expertise, Clutch Braking, Deadeye. So, Situational Awareness, because I'm a light tank, I just want to increase my view range by 6%. I want to make it so that I can at least get a lot of spotting if I can on certain maps. Steady Aim and Run and Gun to make the Bushmaster cannon somewhat usable and effective, making it just that little bit more accurate and making it more accurate while on the move, and getting that horrible on the move accuracy down is what I want to do. Camouflage Expertise, because I'm a light tank, I want to try and knock my camo down if I can. And then Clutch Braking and Deadeye. Clutch Braking to make the track traverse better, so I can, again, duck, dodge, dip, dive, and dodge easier, and I can make it as hard as possible for people to try and hit me. Deadeye for the memes. This is an auto cannon, so every shell that's going into a tank will have a chance of doing module damage, and I want to increase my chance of module damage with Deadeye. Realistically, though, you could instead take something like Muffled Shot, because you want to take Muffled Shot to reduce the ability of them spotting you when you fire the ATGMs instead of Deadeye. That's one thing that you could definitely take instead of it. You could also take Armor Angling if you wanted to reduce the amount of damage coming in so that you have, more chances basically to keep yourself alive and in the game. You could take Track Mechanic as well, because the thing I've noticed with this tank as well is because it's quite large and it's got small tracks, its tracks get blown off all the time, and what's happened once or twice is that I've had my tracks blown off, I've gone repair the tracks, and then instantly blown off again, and then I'm just stuck staring at tanks with really good DPM as they whittle my hit points down. So that's something you might want to bear in mind too. You could run Marked Target because you're a light tank, so you keep things spotted for 3 seconds longer, because obviously things don't stay spotted for that long in Cold War. You could run Snapshot if you just want to make the gun even better. You could run Rapid Aim to make the turret traverse as quick as get it up to the track traverse. It's down to you. This is just a template of what I run. You could set your tank up like this and think, no, you know what, actually the turret traverse annoys me, I'm going to change that out. Or, you know what, I'm not bothered about the situational awareness because I'm close up anyway, I want to run Muffled Shot instead. These 3 perks you're always going to run anyway. But yeah. In terms of equipment, let's have a goosey gander at that. I run the Advanced Loader, the Traction System, and the Advanced Concealment. So I run the Camo Net because I want to make my camo as good as possible so I can be a sneaky assassin at times. And you always want to run that on your light tanks. Traction System because I want to go faster, because if I don't go 88 kilometers an hour or get it up to that, a lot of the MBTs are not that much slower than me, and that means that I cannot get away from them and they will have me for Christmas dinner, which is not good. And the Advanced Loader because I want to make the reload better of the ATGMs. I did run for a bit with the vertical stabilizers instead to make the Bushmaster better, but I didn't really notice too much of a difference running the gun stabilizer as opposed to running the Advanced Loader, in terms of the gun performance of the Bushmaster anyway. And I did notice the difference in having that extra 2 seconds on the reload off for getting those ATGMs out as quickly as possible, and the way better reload on the Bushmaster and stuff like that. So that's why I run the Advanced Loader over the gun stabilizer. But like I say, if the gun does annoy you, you could definitely run the gun stabilizer instead, or you could run the improved ventilation to make everything about the tank better, and it'll make your reloads better, your accuracy better, your view range, all that good stuff better. It's down to you. Or you could just run the powertrain and just go max speed if you wanted to, because with the powertrain you would actually go at 92 kilometers an hour, which is absolutely rapid, and that way you'd actually be able to keep up with a lot of the weasels as well, and you could try and be a counter to them if you wanted to be. But yeah, there's many different ways of setting up a tank. It's down to you. And then I run Smoke as well, because Smoke is useful on light tanks like this. So let's have a quick look at the stats of the tank now we've fully equipped it. So in terms of the statistics, you can see you've gone up to 88 kilometers an hour on reverse and top speed. You've got a 59.5 degree a second hull rotation speed. Your ground resistances have got a little bit better. Your camo is now 175 meters of steel concealment. You've got 611 meters of view range now, which is really nice. You got 52.15 degrees a second rotation speed of the turret, which is 2 degrees faster. Slightly better accuracy during rotation at 0.54. You've got 27.03 second reload, which is way better than the 35 seconds it was. You've got 0.29 accuracy now. You've got 1.73 aim time. You now have an 18.82 second reload on the ATGMs as well, which is also really glorious. So yeah, you can see a lot of things have got better with the stuff that we've run in terms of the statistics because of the our setup. And yeah, that's the Alvis Stormer. So the Alvis Stormer is a really damn nice tank. To be honest, I've really enjoyed playing it so far. In the 15 to 20 games I've played so far in Era 3, it's like I said, it's absolutely rapid. You can dish out the damage with the ATGMs. It's just got the annoyance of the fact that as soon as you're spotted, MBTs just go, "Oh, easy to pen tank," and then chase you, and you can't get away from them, which is why I don't really like light tanks in Era 3, because they are not that much quicker than the MBTs, and they tend to get absolutely shredded by them. And if you're in this tank, stay away from AMX-32s and AMX-40s. Stay away from them because they shred you so fast and you have no ability to reply to them half the time except for to slap one ATGM in. But by the time you've got the second ATGM in, you're dead because their machine gun is that good. But yeah, that's the Alvis Stormer 30. It's pretty decent. 13,000 gold though, it's pretty damn expensive. And I'll always say wait for discounts because, yeah, discounts are the stuff of life. I mean, at the end of the day, if you got a good discount on this, you could probably get it down to 10,000 gold, which isn't too bad. Or an earn-up in the future, no doubt. Say no doubt. You never know. You never know, right? So, without further ado, people, I'm going to send you over to the replays where you can watch this thing in action for yourself, make your mind up on how it plays, how it handles, and decide whether you would like the looks of playing that tank yourself or not. It's down to you. So, everybody, I will see you in the replays. So here we are in the replays with the Alvis Stormer 30, or listed just as the Stormer 30. And we are on this map, which is Airfield. And an airfield, it can go any which way and how in Cold War Era 3, because Era 3 just tends to be tanks clumped together and smash. And yeah, with Airfield, it tends to be, oh, you know what? I'm going to go fight around E6, and you find that none of your team have followed you, and all 15 of their tanks are there. Or the other way around, and you end up finding no one, leading the charge towards their base and find their whole team's charged down the J line. At the minute, our team is split up, which is not always the best. It's not always the best on this map. So I decided, you know what, okay, I don't want to be here. There's not enough of us here, and I've already seen quite a few. So I'm just going to go after this BMP, who is not bothered about me. So we start using the main cannon, launch the ATGM into the BMP, and it's like, I'm going to get this guy. And then all the shells start raining in from behind. I'm like, absolutely not. We get instantly retracked yet again. And I should realise that I actually have an ATGM that I could use right here, but I don't. And to be honest, I'm just too focused on trying to get out of dodge. And we are very lucky that we only take one hit of damage for that. I just wanted to get that BMP, but we'll take it. So we launched the ATGM at this Stormer 30, and we're just trying to get the ATGM in. There was too much smoke in the way, so we couldn't see where he was. And we actually hit the Stormer there, but did nothing. So I wonder where we hit him. We might have hit him just as he pulled back, and he basically hit no armor. But hey ho, you see how fast these ATGMs come back in. So we got the ATGM in. I'm going to go for this little guy here. Hello, Mr. Type 89. I'm sorry about your tank, and good night, sir. So we start waiting for the ATGMs, and once again, that's where I'm saying that the ATGM kind of feel a little bit long, because I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Oh, I don't have it. Then we pop the ammo rack of that poor guy. The other Stormer 30's here. He unfortunately got an ATGM into me a minute ago because he came storming round. Get it? Anyway, and we are now just trying to use the auto cannon on this guy, but I don't want to stick around and take any more hits from him, so I'm just getting out of dodge. But that Stormer 30 basically charged into the rest of my team that were on this flank, and he gets killed himself. We're up to 6,047 damage. We've got 2 ATGMs in. Now it's time to go after this Object 292 that's rather alone. We launched the ATGM and slapped that shell in to finish that guy off. We've got 1 ATGM left, so I've got it basically in my mind. I want this AMX-40, but they are going to end up coming round to try and get shots at us. So here we go. We launched the ATGM straight into this AMX-40. There we go. But the first time I spotted 292, my plan was to launch the ATGM there into that AMX-40, and then I could pull back at 80 kilometers an hour really quickly. But unfortunately, The Object 292 first time spotted just RBRT'd us as soon as he came around the corner we were dead. And we finished the game with 1293 base XP, the 7.5k damage, because thankfully we did win that game. And that's where the Stormer for me is a little bit annoying at times, because like just what happened there. I was like, well, I can surprise this AMX-40, get a big shell into him, and then pull back at the speed of sound. But what happened is I got the ATGM in, yes, big damage, and just as I start to pull back, that 292, which was his first time being spotted, managed to charge around the corner at full tilt and just RBRT straight in and finishes off, which happens all the time. Happens all the time, unfortunately, for something like the Alvis Stormer and Bradleys in general, because you are such a big target, you are exceptionally easy to hit with any gun in this era. If you get missed, basically it's down to user error at this point. So we're on the second map. And the second map, we are on Fred Vang. Hey! We're very slow with maps, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Fred Vang. So on Fred Vang Encounter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get to the top of the hill, because again, it's difficult for them to spot me. So I'm just using my light tank mobility, my light tank camo, to get myself into a position where I can see the enemy team crossing and stuff like that, and see if I can get any juicy ATGM shots in. So you can see I'm looking, so I launched the ATGM at the 292 and he's getting away too quickly, so that's not going to hit. Then I moved across to see if I could get it swing into the other 292, because what my hope was that 292 was keeping going, but he didn't. We launched the next ATGM at this 292, it's like, yes, perfect, and then, yeah, my aim was terrible. Fantastic. Wonderful aim, me. Wonderful aim. I thought he was going to start I thought he'd seen the ATGM and was just going to start charging forward to get to the next house. But in fact, he just stopped dead and then pulled back a little bit. And it was like, oh no! And the ATGM missed by a country mile. Shame, really. But as again, you see, the ATGMs go into this tank very, very quickly. 18 seconds is nothing at all. And we are ready to go again. So we're going to help this medium tank out. And we've come against this Thumper. We all launched the ATGM. And the first one managed to go somewhere in front of him somehow, even though I was aiming at the front of the tank and he barely moved. But hey ho, we get the second round of ATGM. Second ATGM straight in to the 292, just trying my best to avoid it. We pop smoke so that the other guy that was over there can't get any shots at us, and we've just got to try and help this medium tank out as much as possible with our main cannon now. See if we can just do some damage. And this is where, like I say, this cannon can be nice with having Deadeye, because we damage his engine with one shot. But we've not really done else with it so far. But we do shut down the 292 with the other, well, with the Bushmaster cannon. We're on 1800 hit points, which still means we can take a few shots here and there to deliver these big ATGMs in. And we're just trying to work out now where we want to be to try and help. So we see this M1A2, launch the ATGM, aim for his back engine deck, and thankfully it just loops straight into the engine deck and it tracks him in place, breaks his engine, something like that. Then we spot the Leclerc, and I think, okay, you know what? I didn't get spotted shooting that M1A2. I should be fine shooting this guy. I shouldn't get spotted. No, I was wrong. I got instantly spotted. But we do pop the ammo rack of that poor Leclerc, and we get the damage in. And that's, again, where I'm talking about this tank, the same as the Bradley. That Leclerc, basically, with me spotted, went, oh, a light tank. RBRT, straight in. No problem whatsoever. Did not miss. And, like I say, that happens. If you get spotted firing the ATGMs, and something decides it's going to shoot at you, it will not miss. It just won't. It's a sad, sad time. But if you want to be able to get your ATGM to do anything, you have to keep your eye on the target, otherwise it'll just loop into the floor sometimes, which, yeah, it can be a little bit irritating. But now we're coming over onto the Leopard 2. We're aiming for his lower plate, but unfortunately, we only do like 300 damage. I think I actually hit the upper plate there, which is why it only did that much damage. Got the next ATGM in, try and help out, finish off this Leopard 2, and he gets shut down just before the ATGM comes in. And at this point, it's 7-7, which means it's not looking that good, because we've got 3 guys that are capping, and then all the rest of us are stuck with most of their MBTs. So I'm going to try and help out the other Stormer, but the Stormer gets shut down by the Leopard 2A5. Our ATGM is in though. We swing our ATGM straight into the 2A5 and he gets shut down. Now we've got the Weasel coming in, the little cheeky Weasel, and we are just going to start trying to unload our main auto cannon into him. We do have one ATGM left, and I'm thinking, do I try and go and surprise whatever's on top of the hill? No, you know what? This little Weasel, you little Weasel, I'm not going to get away. That's it. We're going to use our speed to try and harass this guy and harangue. Make it not as easy as possible for taking out our little TD as well. But unfortunately, he still manages to get the shot into our Thumper. But we're not going to try and let him get away with it. We're going to try our best to get the shot in. So we're going to try and get an ATGM into him, but unfortunately we just hit the floor. Trying to still get the rounds into this Weasel because we're not getting him. Then we see the Jaguar and I'm like, look at him, he's balanced on the edge. Maybe I can meme him, shove him off the edge, get full health. We go for the little shove and unfortunately he only loses 1250 hit points, which means we don't get the kill or the damage for that. But we still took away half his hit points with that little ram. Now we've got the Weasel. I'm like, okay, I'm going to ram you now. Oh no, that's a problem. Oh, my driving is getting me into trouble again. And unfortunately, trying to get off this rock. Oh, we kill ourselves. No. Yeah, that happened. We tried to ram the Weasel, and trying to ram the Weasel meant that we ended up storming it off the cliff, and we end up finishing with the second class, 711 base XP on a loss, but 9,000 damage with 1,600 assistance. Again, it showed the good sides of the Stormer, the bad sides of it, like I said, the size of the tank, and the fact that it's just not hard to hit whatsoever. But the ATGMs are nice, just how quickly the ATGMs get into the tank, and if you can play it that assassination playstyle, you'll do pretty well with it. So we're on to the third replay. There's only one replay after this. This is the second to last replay. And we're on this map, which is Kaunas. And on Kaunas, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and spot the people crossing along the 9-0 line, see if anybody shoots them, and thus I'll, I might get some spotting, you never know. But there's not much good for me, really, here with the Alvis Stormer, because, well, I do have the problem that, well, I don't have a normal cannon. So it's not like I'm going to get a shot or two into this Bradley. The ATGMs won't reach them before they get away. And the main cannon, well, that won't do 230 damage and they get away and I get spotted and maybe something will snapshot me for 500, which is not what we want. So we see the Magak C, or the Magak 7C, sorry, and I'm thinking, do I try and get behind him and get an ATGM? Well, we'll see. What's, lurking around this corner. We end up spotting a light tank, but you never know what is actually still towards their base. So we end up spotting a Leopard 2A5, which I'm looking at with my ATGMs. We spot a Magak 7C as well, who is looking to see what's actually spotted him. So we launched an ATGM around the corner because I think, well, maybe if I launch the ATGM around the corner, I won't get spotted. But we did actually get spotted by the 2A5, which is sad. The Magak 7C is driven out. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop the ATGM over the top and then try and loop it into this 292. But the 292 unfortunately just pulls back behind the cover, which means we can't get the ATGM into him. But now we are waiting for the ATGMs to load up again so that we can try our best to try and get one somewhere into someone for a big amount of damage. As you can see, it's back in no problem whatsoever. This replay is using the gun stabilizers. I only played like 2 or 3 games with the gun stabilizer, but this one is running the gun stabilizer instead of advanced loader, which is why you see the reloaders are like 20 seconds on this thing. It's far nicer to have the advanced loader, just to have the extra 3 seconds on that reload. We launched the ATGM over the top of the ridge to try and get the ATGM into that 7C, but we didn't quite get the chance, well, we didn't quite get round in time to be able to launch that thing down into that guy's hull. Because that's one of the things you can do with ATGMs at times, is you can launch them over a ridge line, you won't get spotted, and then just try and dip them as much as possible, as quick as possible, into the enemy tank, and you'll deal some really funky damage sometimes. So we're just going to use the main cannon against this this Bradley in the distance. We only do like 2 shots of damage, but that's actually our first shots of damage in the first 3 minutes here. We've basically done nothing so far. Now we've got the ATGMs back in. It's like, well, okay then, let's see if we can do any more damage. So we're just going to pop over, see if we can see anything coming round. We see the Magak 7C from earlier. We try and slap the shell in. And unfortunately, he neos, so he turns just in time to avoid the ATGM into his side, because I didn't want to hit the front of this guy with the ATGM, and we didn't do any damage whatsoever with that ATGM, which is sad. Poor aim, really, but yeah, it is what it is. So now we're going to go help our heavy tank that's going to go attack this Magak 7C, because he's around this corner. We're going to try and get that assassination ATGM into his back, which we launch. And unfortunately, instead of hitting the engine deck where I was aiming, it launched high, which meant that it went straight into his side of his turret and did absolutely no damage, which is, again, very, very sad. We've had a very, very awkward game, but we're going to use this autocannon and try and help our friend here. Unfortunately, the Magak 7C has turned around. We're just trying to blow off the tracks, but now we're going for the cupola on top. And we got a few pens in there into that guy's cupola. We've got 2 ATGMs in now, so what we're going to try and do is find a target. We want to slap these ATGMs in to get some damage, because we've done nothing so far. Absolutely nothing. And I want to try and do some sort of damage in this game if I can. So we're going to use our mobility to slip round the side. As you can see, we're doing about 75, 76. So it's a bit sluggish to get up to that top speed. We've now snuck up behind the 292 and Magak 7C. The BMP is trying to get some shots into us, so we get a bit of an autocannon shot into him. Now the ATGM from the intro clip is getting in. It's time to launch it back into this 292 again, who has just completely ignored us. We set that guy on fire, which is beautiful, which means we're going to rack up a fair bit of damage on the fire. The BMP is not looking at us anymore. We do have the side and rear of this 292, so it's like, you know what, okay, I'm not going ATGMs. Sure, I've got all the hit points, but I've done nothing, so I want to try and get some sort of damage in. So we get the shots into that 292, finish him off. Now the Thumper's coming on us. The Thumper is clearly not liking us. We try and get an ATGM into his side, but unfortunately, again, because the tubes are a little bit higher, it goes high and only damages the turret. But we're going to try and just autocannon this guy to death, and we don't quite get to finish him off, but we do have one more ATGM for this T-72BU. Slap it into the lower plate, set him on fire, which means the damage is still racking up. We're trying to pen the lower plate with the main Bushmaster, but it's not really doing anything. There's only one tank left on the enemy team. It is the 7C from earlier, and he gets shut down. So we finish the game with the victory. 1 kill, 8,093 damage. Again, at a good amount of credits. This is no boosters, by the way. No boosters whatsoever. The second class, the 1,275 base XP for the Alvis Stormer. Again, another decent game for the tank, which again showed off its awkwardnesses at times, where you have to be really careful with the fight you're in, because otherwise it goes downhill very, very quickly, and where the autocannon can be very, very nice, but also very, very awkward, because the amount of shots we were bouncing there, even on the sides and rears, was a bit annoying. You also saw a little bit of the ATGMs, because obviously, look where the ATGM tubes are on this tank. They're on the left of the turret and the right of the turret. So sometimes the shots will come out of the left-hand side of your gun, sometimes they'll come out on the right-hand side of your gun. It's another awkwardness just to bear in mind, that when you are close to something, if I was to sit next to this bunker and the ATGM was to come out out my left-hand side tube, and I could see round the bunker, there's a likelihood that the ATGM might actually just go into the bunker. So you just got to be very, very careful of that. So we're on Siegfried Line. This is probably the best game I've had in the tank. I have aced it, but it was like 8,000 damage on a loss, and somehow it was an ace. I don't know how. Cold War base XP. Blows my mind sometimes. We're now looking for a shot into this Object 477A, and I was like, I don't know if I can pen this guy, this Malo. Definitely couldn't do the lower plate, so I was like, we'll try and get the little line that's next to the turret, because you never know, sometimes I have actually penned that little turret ring. But unfortunately, we just did no damage to that guy whatsoever. We're going back for seconds, though. So what I want to try and do is get in front or round the side of this guy and try and get some shots at the people that were also camping at C6. That Malo has actually pulled all the way back. So we're going to try and get an ATGM into the M1A1. Bad decision there to aim for the lower plate. We should have just aimed for the upper plate there, because if we'd aimed for the upper plate, we might have actually penned it through the upper plate, but it is what it is. We go for the ATGM through the arch there, and again we hit the lower plate, which means we do about 354 damage, so we didn't get that full pen in. I'm just trying to auto-cannon this guy's tracks off if I can and just get some pens into his side, but it's not quite worked out. He's now put around the corner looking at my other friend, and I know he's probably distracted, so we fire the ATGM through the arch, do 1280 damage, and that M1A1 is gone. Now that we've got the side of a Merkava Mark III, and I'm like, yes, perfect, just wait for my ATGM to come in. We're going to back up so we're reversing through the gap, so we can try and pull forward as quickly as possible. But we end up not getting that. And unfortunately, because of the pillar, I wasn't able to just reverse quite as much as I wanted to get the ATGM into that Malo. And we hit the one spot on the side of the Malo where I cannot pen it with an ATGM and do any damage whatsoever. And that was the Space Armor bit on the side. Bit of a mistake. I did want to hit the middle of the tank, though, because that's where the ammo rack is, and you can pop those guys' turrets with it. But we failed because just my aim is crap. But now we've got the side of the Macava and the Leclerc. I think it's a Leclerc anyway that's next to him. Or it's a Type 80 or something like that. But we've got the side, we've got the ATGM into the side of the Macava. I don't want to waste the ATGM into that guy. Now we've got the Leclerc's front. We managed to slap the ATGM through his drive wheel. Do the 1400 damage nearly there. Nice roll. And now they are they've basically won that little fight there. So I've now got to get out of dodge. Again, it's what this tank wants to be doing. You want to be supporting where you can. Just auto-aiming the autocannon into that Alvis Stormer there. We shut him down. We try and get a shot into the Type 80, but absolutely fail it. Now that Leclerc's just driving out in the open, we're just going to auto-aim the autocannon into that guy. Now we've got the ATGM in. I'm like, you know what? You can shoot me once, Type 88. I'm just going to launch the ATGM into you. We set him on fire. The Malo's down here. It's like, hello, Malo. I'm just going to pop some smoke and run away the other way. Goodbye, Malo. Goodbye, my friend. Waiting for the ATGMs to come in again, because that's the deadliness of this tank, is the ATGMs. The Leclerc is coming after us as well. I'm like, okay, you know, I'm going to take the hit. I need to destroy this guy. He gets tracked, which makes it easy to get the ATGM in, and we shut down the top Era 3 French MBT there. We're up to 8,300 damage, and now this Type 88 was coming in. I was waiting for the ATGM, because again, I could take a hit off the Type 88 and then shut him down with the ATGM, but I don't have to. Now we have one ATGM left. That Object 4778 is not getting away with it this time. He is going to be the next target for this thing, and we're going to be directly behind him, which makes it easy for this ATGM. We shut him down for 619 and get our third kill of this game. Now, there's only 3 tanks left on the enemy team, and that is we'll know where they all are, and they're attacking the 292. So the 292 ends up killing the M3A2, because like I say, with any Bradley or Alvis Storm or anything like that, as soon as an MBT says you're dead, you're dead. And we're going to go in on this 292 here, try and get there before he kills him. I know there's a risk that he could kill him and then he'll just turn around and kill me, but I need to try my best to dish out the damage if I can. So we slap the shot into the back of the 292, which breaks his engine. He repairs. Now we're just going to use the autocannon to get the shot in. Now he's killed the 292. My friends are all coming, so I'm thinking, you know what, I'm probably going to die, but as long as I get this ATGM off, I don't care. So we get the ATGM in. 1352, he shuts us down, but do we care? No, because he gets shut down instantly anyway, and we weren't going to do anything else to that guy in the time that was left. And finished with the epic victory, 3 kills, 12,000 damage, 1,489 assistance, the high caliber, the first class, 1,536 base XP, a pretty damn nice game, sorry, for the Storm of 30. It's a pretty damn decent light tank in Era 3. It does what Era 3 light tanks do. It ATGMs, it auto cannons, but if an MBT decides you're going to die, you're going to die. But it can be a lot of fun because it is a pretty damn quick tank. It's down to you whether you think it's worth it or whether you like that sort of playstyle. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!